We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it.
I know we have to wait for Councilman Brownlee to come back, even though we have a form. Councilman Rowland.
Go ahead, you going to law school too? Oh, okay.
And excuse our time, but just for your edification, public meetings cannot start in Texas until we have at least 3 city council members in the room. So we're just waiting on Councilman Rowland to return, and then we'll start. Okay, it's 6:07 p.m. and the meeting of the Prairie City Council will now come to order. Ms. Johnson, would you certify the form, please?
Councilman Rowland. Councilman Wingo. Councilman Jones. Councilman Williams. Councilman Wallace.
President.
And I do want to note for the record that Councilman Randall's grandmother passed, and he asked to be excused, and we certainly want his grandmother, and we certainly want to keep him in our prayers. So. Invocation. Dr. Brown, would you lead us in a short invocation, please? Oh, do we? Who? We have a preacher in the
I'll
house?
save my comments for later. Thank you.
Okay.
Heavenly Father, thank you for your presence right now. You say where 2 or 3 of us will gather together, you be there in the midst of us. And Lord, we thank you for being here in the midst. Now we ask you to anoint the heads of our city leaders with your wisdom. I rebuke the works of the devil and Satan in Jesus' name. I plead the blood of Jesus over this meeting. And I thank you for victory that will glorify you. In Jesus' name, amen.
And we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Ashley Jackson. Ashley Jackson. Kevin L. Jackson. And let the minutes show that Councilman Rowland has joined us.
To Mayor Allen, council members, to council for the city, employees and citizens of Prairie View. My name is Reverend Kevin L. Jackson. I am the parent of Ashley Jackson, who is a tenant at Panther Hill Apartments. I stand before you once again, coming to express my deep concern and disappointment in the progress that is taking place at Panther Hill Apartments. I came to stand before you to say that carrot dangling, alleged intimidation have only exacerbated the situation. I stand before you not only as Reverend Kevin L. Jackson, but I stand before you as a parent who is deeply concerned with the information that I've gathered and heard about allegedly that has taken place behind this entire project. I want to let you know that from this point forward, I cannot in good conscience recommend to my friends, their parents, or any others to come to the city of Prairie View or to attend the University of Prairie View A&M until these matters have been addressed in a serious fashion. I cannot express to you how disappointed I am at the leadership of this city. This is a fine community and has been for several years, many years. But because of the leadership of this city, it has become tainted and suspect with the seriousness of addressing situations with regards to housing and students of Prairie View A&M University. Until this situation is met head-on and dealt with at the ballot box, it will continue to bring a stain and taint the reputation of Prairie View A&M University. I understand you all are moving forward with economic development in this city, but I will have you know that I will do everything in my power to help you if I can. But up until that point, I want you to know that the skirts have been raised, that the curtain has been pulled back. And from this point forward, I will do everything in my power to see that it's exposed at a higher level. I thank you for the opportunity to let you know that this is not a threat, but this is a serious effort to work with the city to make sure that things are done better in the future to address the housing concerns for the students of Prairie View A&M University and the reputation of Prairie View, Texas. I thank you for the opportunity to stand before you, and I pray that this situation is taken care of at the next election. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 1, discussion and possible action on the approval of City Council meeting minutes dated June 24, 2019. What's council's pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, I move that we approve of City Council meeting minutes dated June 24, 2019.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that council approve City Council meeting minutes dated June 24, 2019. You've heard the motion, ready for the questions.
Question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same right? Ayes have it. Item 2, discussion and possible action on the approval of City Council meeting minutes dated June 10, 2019. What's council's pleasure?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Waller.
I move that we approve the City Council meeting minutes dated June 10, 2019.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that council approve City Council meeting minutes dated June 10th, 2019. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same right. Ayes have it. Item 3, discuss some possible action on approving an ordinance for departmental reports to be placed on the City Council agenda. Councilman Rowland.
I move that this agenda item be moved to, I move that this agenda item be moved to our August 12th meeting.
It's been properly moved and seconded that item 3 be moved to August 12th.
Yes.
Yes.
August 12th meeting. You've heard the motion, ready for the question.
Question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same right. Motion passed. Item 4, discuss and consider a contract registration form and ordinance. Councilman Rowland.
This was one of the items that we put on the end of the last meeting to have a discussion. The contractor registration form is something, when I looked into it, it is needed, but I don't necessarily know if we, if all the effort would be beneficial to the city of Prairie View. So I asked for this to come back on the agenda, and I'll bring it up on the date. I need to sit down and talk with several people in reference to this.
So
So
you don't
we're
have
just
to
gonna,
say carry, you'll bring it back.
I'll bring it back.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have to take it.
Item 5, discuss and consider a tree preservation ordinance. Councilman Rowland.
Mr. Mayor, as I've worked on this, myself and Councilman Wallace have separately started working on this, looking at some different cities at their tree preservation ordinances. As I think Councilman Wallace will tell you, it's not a 2-page document. Most of those we're talking about a 21, 34-page document, and to rush the process would be good. But I think it is what our community needs, and so I want to ask for this to be moved to the August 12th agenda. I think we'll have an ordinance ready by August 12th.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that item 5, discuss and consider a tree preservation ordinance be carried over to the August 12th meeting. You've heard the motion, ready for the question.
Question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same right. Motion passed. Item 6, discuss and consider and take possible action on an ordinance regarding the definition of an emergency clause. Councilman Jones?
I just recently spoke to our attorney, Charles Depp, and I'd like for the item to be disregarded.
Okay, we move to item 7. Discuss and take action to approve resolution for Harvey Recovery Grant application. Council has a copy of the resolution in your packet, and this is a requirement by FEMA and for some of the emergency funds that we've basically been pre-approved for, $742,000.16 of grants to provide enhancements to the proposed facilities. What we're looking at and where one of our immediate greatest needs are for the Ruby Street lift station per the engineers with the assistance of our public works guys. The primary problem has been south of Business 290, but all connected to the Ruby Street lift station, and they feel that they can eradicate this problem for all the people and what they're dealing with over there within these funds. But this is the resolution in front of you that is simply authorizing it. We've talked about the $742,000 grant a couple of times when we initially applied for it, when the city initially applied for it, and there were a couple of meetings that myself and Nick Houston with project management attended, And this is our allocation of those things based on what we went through. And using it to enhance infrastructure is one of the things that were involved.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Rowland?
Do you have how the money's gonna be allocated? So this is the resolution. Have you already broken down what percentage is gonna go to Ruby Street? What percentage is gonna go to City Hall or any other updates in those figures? We need to have that. I don't know, well, we should have that. Do you have that immediate breakdown of what you?
No, they're finalizing it, but all of this will, based on the preliminary meetings and discussions, none of this will inure to the benefit of City Hall. Those are separate monies that we've applied for that are now actually in the insurance and mitigation department of FEMA. So this is separately to eradicate the sewage problem connected to the lift station over there. But I can get you those. I don't have them as yet. But this was a resolution that they were requiring that needed to be passed as a part of the paperwork process with these funds.
So number 3 on here, that's all for lift station? No, same paper, just number 3.
Ruby Street, the problems with the Ruby Street, from the Ruby Street lift station, which is just north of Business 290, and how it's been impacting the Rosewood community south of Business 290 is where I'm told would be the best use of this particular body of funds and based on what it's allocated for. Councilman Jones?
So,
Yes, sir.
so I guess to go deeper into it, my understanding, the picture vividly. So this money is going to lift stations, or is it going throughout a plan in which we have to fix up Ruby Street or disaster relief? Because I know at one point, you discussed the plan to either buy them out, to kind of put like either community retention fund over there, just different things. So is this like, I'm asking the question because we don't want to necessarily, I guess, move forward doing one thing when we have a plan to do another, because then it'd be like, well, we could have used the funds to go into a different route, or are these funds already set in stone for, I guess, for the lift station?
Right, this would be for a different project. The buyout, we fall under the county, so we're working through Brian Cantrell, Waller County Emergency Management Director, for any potential buyout funds and, things for the residents that were impacted on Ruby Street, which is north of Business 290. This is simply to take care of a lift station sewage pipe problems that keep coming up that flow south over into the Rosewood community, but it's separate monies.
So
And they have to be used for different things, so this money's been used for that, and that would be another pocket of money.
So is this money to help stop the flooding on Ruby Street, or just to upgrade the?
No, this is upgrading the lift station water sewage process for all those residents that are south of Business 290. Yes, sir. They keep having some issues with backups with like manholes and things. And the engineers and our folks say this would help eradicate those things. Those things also happen to be potential TCEQ violations as well. So it's not something that we can't address, but it does affect the residents south of Business 290. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, we appreciate the hard work and effort that you and Ms. Alexander have put on working through the grants with getting this money. Do we have a timeline on this resolution? We've heard bits and pieces of the project, and I think council is wanting kind of a full recap summary of where we're at and where we want to go. So is there a deadline that this resolution, I don't know if that's a question for you or Ms. Griffin, that this resolution have to be passed? Can this be moved to the next meeting with a full where we at and where the money's going to go, or is this a hard deadline on this resolution?
Let me, to be clear, in dealing with so many of these, I don't want to misstep, and I will try to reach him, and maybe we can come back if I can during the meeting. I'll send him a text, and if Nick Houston or Mark Havlin with LJ Engineering get back with me, then we can come back to it. Can we skip it?
Yeah, I'm unaware of any deadline, so I can't answer the question. I don't know.
But if we can skip it and come back, and that way, just in case we can find out something we don't know here.
Yeah.
Okay. Item 7, city council reports. Councilman Rowland.
Citizens, citizens is great, always a pleasure
To be
service.
in the great city of Prairie View. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity. I had to travel to Midland, representing the city at the TML board meeting at the Texas Association of African American Chamber, or Texas Association of Black City Council Members, where I'm the treasurer. What we've done is we finalized our agenda. We've culminated, we gave away $29,000 in scholarships upcoming. I think you had 4 students who are coming to Prairie View A&M University who received those scholarships. That money is generated from our golf tournament that we have to raise money. One of the things that I think former Councilwoman Herndon is here. She was once the president of that organization as well. At the board meeting, we learned a lot of great things that are happening within the state of Texas with all the new changes. There's some changes that the city of Prairie View will actually have to go into now, and then there's some things that'll take place September. I think we talk about 2 of those items on the agenda. A lot of the conversation is around SB 2, which is we filed a resolution or proclamation against. And so again, just want to thank you for allowing me to serve and continue to bring back that information. I'll be doing a presentation at the next city council meeting. I've sent the information to city council and the mayor for them to look over, and then we'll be talking about that at a later time. Thank you.
Councilman Jones.
Even though Councilmember Jonathan Rundle is not here, just like every other year, his football camp was a great success. It was nice to be able to see him give the game so much credit that allowed for him to grow into the man that he is today, and allow us to also assist and help out young men and women of our future. Also had the opportunity to go into depth and do more research to provide the community with more health options, such as a lot of our citizens say we have lack of activities and lack of involvement besides community cleanup and different things of that such. So trying to see how we can get a partnership done with the university and the county to allow to have health options such as yoga, exercises, and things of that such for our citizens. Also had the chance to witness our great judge. And as always, it's a pleasure to serve.
Councilman Williams.
No report at this time, and I just ask the city to keep Councilman Randall in your prayers and his family.
Councilman Wallace.
First, I want to say I'm blessed for the opportunity to serve. By Judge Alexander Simmons, I have a copy of my report written down, just so if you want to read upon it later. And my business card's on there because I opened the dialogue and discourse. So if there's anything we can talk about how to make the city better, I'm always here to be a resource. But first of all, same thing, I wanted to send my condolences to Councilman Randall within his grandmother. I was there with Councilman Jones at his camp, and just to see all the kids there, they were able to participate for free. So many volunteers came out to help. It's just truly inspiring thing for the community. So I was blessed to be a part of that. Also, my Abundance of Hands Community Service Ministry, we were able to help with United Methodist Church with Pastor Thompson, help clean up some of his storage, try to repaint some of the lines, just do little things so that we can help uplift that church in that facility. Also, I was working with Grady Mapes, who's with TxDOT. There was a lot of drainage blockage around Old Business 290, so help try to alleviate some of that. Also with the Prairie Chamber of Commerce, with the public relations. They're continuing to do great work to try to develop the businesses within this community. So I encourage y'all, if y'all don't have a chance, if y'all have the chance to go out to their meeting, which is the last Thursday of each month. Also, City Council has been working on the City Street assessment to try to fix some of these streets within this next budget cycle. So I had a pleasure of working with Public Works to try to identify some of the poor streets in terms of the infrastructure so that we can start allocating money towards that. I've been working to have a city council retreat. I know that there's a lot of things that we need to get done in the city, and I think we need to allocate the time where we can just sit 1 or 2 days to just talk about all the things we need to and create a strategic plan so that we can start attacking these things one by one. Also, somebody wanted to come into the city to try to bring a project to help technologically advance some of the young children. So as I'm working with him, I'll be announcing that later on. As in collaboration, Abundance of Hands also doing a major project within the city that I'll be having a community meeting for, and as we get some of the logistics set up, we can make that happen, because I've been working with the Clark subdivision and doing a cleanups about once a month, and so we want to try to bring some of that love and encouragement to all the communities in terms of us inputting our help and making sure that the city moves forward, being clean, engagement, and all that good stuff. And lastly, me and Councilman Randall, we've been working on a community engagement board. We're in the final stages of that. Hopefully by next meeting, we'll be able to have a lot of that legislation there so that we can have a community meeting and so we can find ways how we can all work together. So once again, it's a pleasure and honor to serve the great city of Prairie.
Thank you. One of the things I wanted to bring back to council was the prior question came up regarding Officer Mosley and his capability from a canine standpoint. And in having found out the information with Officer Mosley having been an Army canine handler and having personal knowledge of the training that goes on there with having a couple of brothers who did the same thing. But there's a email from Doug Stott at TCOL, and I just want to read it into the record. It says, Officer Mosley, this is to confirm that TCOL does not regulate an agency's canine training or operations. It is the agency chief administrator's responsibility. Agent Doug Stott, Field Operations, Texas Commission on Law Enforcement. And this email is dated July 3rd, 2019 at 10:41 a.m. And as a result of that, the Waller County Sheriff's Office, Ms. Dana Lewis, responded and said, thank you very much for the information. We will update the roster to reflect the K for his unit number in our systems. And Officer Mosley also happens to be, in addition to the regular drug situation he was so involved with it, he also has a bomb dog. So those type of things the county and others can now take advantage of. The Fayette County 155th Judicial District Restitution Fund from Ms. Shannon Smith, our former city treasurer. The city received a $250 repayment a couple of weeks ago now, but I was informed earlier that the entire $40,000 that had been a part of her situation had been paid, and I'll be getting back with the DA's office, but that's probably in their system, just making its way to us, and just wanted to keep the council and the public informed. Attended the gates of Prairie. They had a soft grand opening. Still they're finalizing permits and things like that, so there's no active work going on over there. USW and LJA, we had a meeting to discuss a plan on a water capacity study. So LJA, as well as now Trilogy Engineering, are putting together what those quotes might be. And because of the business relationship, whether it's housing and or convenience stores, things like that, it might be something that would fall under the Economic Development Administrative Corporation's purview with the city. So we'll be taking that to them and asked to have that put on the agenda. Had an interview with the Houston Chronicle regarding the Sandra Bland anniversary, and that is or has been or will be in the papers. The residents, as well as developers and people seeking to do business in the city, that open door policy has been time consuming but very healthy. because when people need information about what they'd like to do in the city or whether or not they're gonna do something, that ability to address those needs immediately has been helpful. And then they're able to go back and make decisions, and as a result of those things for 3 years, that's why you see some of what you see in the city. And was blessed to be invited to speak at our newest church in the city, Victorious Believers. They had a great program with their bishop, one of the bishop on the elders on the national board was here, but that's another church in the city and a facility that's looking to be a friend in the city. They've got meetings, classrooms, and things like that, programs that they're looking to start. So it's, again, just going to be a welcome addition to the city. I had a meeting with the university on the sewage bill that the city owes, and we're working on seeing how best to, and we discussed various options, and both sides are seeking some additional information. Primarily, I'd like to see the original intent of that contract. I hear grants were involved and that sort of thing. What was that original relationship? And none of us here seem to have been around, so we're trying to check with the A&M system and see if they have something on there, because it refers to a 1978 agreement with the A&M system. So I'd like to think they may have it, but now that we found that, we're seeking to dig deeper into it. Had a meeting with a potential Jack in the Box management or franchisee who are doing some things in the city, and I just thought that was worth mentioning, because we've got Jack in the Box on the east and west, and I'm a Jack in the Box kind of guy when I'm doing some fast food. So Trilogy Engineering, we had the meeting that we've been talking about, and they are working on a contract that's being prepared to basically shoot some of those gaps that are not directly related to a developer that would make it a pass-through. So in addition to doing those things, whether it's the hourly rate and what have you, so Mr. Harold Underwood will be bringing that back to us, and I'll share that with council and our city attorney for dissemination and consideration, and see where we go from there. With that, that's all I have from doing a couple of things. Item 8.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, Councilman Rowland.
Hopefully on some of these things that you're doing, you'll bring the information to council prior to us having it in the meeting, so we can make sure that we're all on the same page.
Do you have
Specific,
example?
specific would be the USW LJA. So you're wanting to look at a city water capacity study, which may be a good thing, but if Councilman Wallace just talked about doing the retreat and the strategic planning meeting, that would be something that city council would want to kind of harness and put in this upcoming budget. And so we want to just make sure that we're all kind of hearing and talking about the same things. Same thing with the university's meeting that I heard attorney, I think Zach attended as well with you.
Yes, he did.
Yep. So those types of things